7 to 8 now. You're listening to Alfie and Helen. Charlie's back next week. And it is, of course, a week since the result of the public on the UK's membership of the EU.
Yeah, last Friday we were waking up to the news that Brexit would probably become a word and was beginning to be used a lot.
Yes, Barack Obama says the vote to leave the EU raises longer-term concerns about global growth. The US president says the decision to come out of the union would freeze the possibilities of investment in Great Britain or in Europe as a whole.
So, how are our politicians feeling a week after what's arguably the biggest political decision the country has taken in a generation? We've got Jude Curtin-Darling, Labour MEP for the North East, and Jonathan Arnott, UKIP MEP for our region. Jonathan, we'll start with you. How are you feeling? Are you basically two things that no longer exist? A British MEP and a member of a group saying the UK should leave the EU?
I think obviously this is something that I have worked and campaigned for, to leave the European Union for 15 years. So I am absolutely delighted about the result of the referendum. I think I feel somewhat concerned about the prospect of how well our government will negotiate that exit and just how well they're going to work on our behalf to make sure that we get the best possible deal.
But what now for UKIP? I mean, have you got some kind of identity crisis? Are you going to have to change your theories? Your vision for the future is going to have to be completely different.
Well, UKIP has always been a party that has campaigned on more than simply the European Union and more than simply immigration. We've been a party, for example, of direct democracy, a party of no tax on minimum wage, a party of taking tougher action on crime and so on. So we've always been a party that has had a much broader policy agenda. But of course, over the last 12 months or so, really the number one issue that has been on the agenda has been this referendum. So it's been right for us to primarily be talking about issues relating to the EU.
The message coming from the EU is that the UK won't be able to have access to the single market unless we have freedom of movement of people, and that point is not negotiable. We aren't going to have it all our own way, are we?
Well, in a negotiation, you don't have everything your own way, and of course, also in a negotiation, the other side of that negotiation is going to tell you that you're not going to get the deal that you want at first, and you're going to ask for it, and then of course you'll probably find that you meet somewhere in the middle. That's how negotiations work. What I've been concerned about during the last week, I suppose, is how, and it's perfectly legitimate for people to say during a referendum campaign that they believe, if they're on the Remain side, that they believe that we're not going to get a brilliant deal if we leave. But once that referendum result is known, once the country has taken that decision, which we have, then it's incumbent on all of us to actually come together, work together, and try to get the best deal possible for the UK. And I think.
But the big selling point of your campaign was controlling immigration. That's not necessarily going to be the case.
Of course, I mean, it would be ridiculous to suppose that we can't, as an independent country, control immigration. Of course, we can do that. Of course, we don't need to continue with the discriminatory system that allows unlimited immigration from 27 countries, whilst having the ability to control it from the other 167. Of course, we can control immigration. The question is what deal we can negotiate with the European Union whilst having that control over immigration. Now, I am much more optimistic about the ability to negotiate such a deal than those who have already given up on the prospect of being able to do so. And
Jonathan, I've got to leave it there because I've got...